Joining me today is none other than Mr. Quest Mcody. My name is Holden Roy, and unfortunately, everyone's favorite co-host Liddy Bro Flacco can't be here because he's doing construction projects and other such things in New York and is a little preoccupied at this moment. But we are gonna hold it down stills and run it. It is great to have you here, Quest Mcody. I hope you're having a great day.
Yeah, man. They going good, man. How about you?
Life is great, man. It's a blessing to have you here. And just to kind of run through the intro, keep in mind normally Mr. Flacco or Dutch would run through this whole thing. So I try to like do my own little version of what he would describe. He likes to start this off with the little origin story of how this show came to be, which then kind of leads to us like, being in this moment. So back when he was doing his Liddy Bros Volume 1 tour of promos and whatnot, he in that phase, his engineer, who happens to live in Montreal where I'm at, mixed the project and then shared one of the tracks, and I saw it and I was like, yo, this is pretty litty. It was a pretty good experience. So I basically, ended up doing an album review for the project when it dropped, and that led to me ending up doing an interview with him, which he felt was amazing. And as he puts it, as a typical New York dude, when he finds something super dope, and as he puts it, therapeutic. I was asking questions he had never been asked before. The experience was something he had never had. So when he finds something dope like that, he goes and tries to put it onto the homies and starts to share the word around, and basically starts this kind of journey with me on this show since about like late December. And then that kind of leads us to this moment where we've been talking to different people, and typically he would be here, but it does kind of lead us into starting it off where we kind of ask if you could just introduce yourself a little bit briefly and let us know where you're from and where your parents are from.
Yeah. To anybody watching that don't know what I do, Quest Mcody. I'm from the city of Detroit, the great state of Michigan. Um, and shit, my parents are from where I'm from. In that regard, I do a little rapping here and there. Every once in a while, I try to showcase some talent. You know, do a whole lot of daddying. Come on, do a whole lot of daddying. Uh, I got basketball cards that are worth tens of thousands of dollars that I just found out. So if anybody want to buy a rare Michael Jordan card, hit me up. I got a few.
Yo, that is one of the best introductions of that part I've gotten. I really enjoyed that. Um, I definitely think people know who you are. But with that, we needed to ask where the story starts because of the proper opening question. This is normally where I will come into it. It's super important that you're from Michigan and all that because just keep in mind as we do this. I'm from Montreal. Lots of people watching are not necessarily from where you're at, and so your experiences are going to be mad different. But with that, I have my opening question. It's a little bit of a story, and when it lands, we get the conversation kind of started a little bit. And it starts with my girlfriend, and she's washing the dishes one time, and she's got her phone open, and it's playing that Black Eyed Peas song. The I got a feeling, ooh, and she's vibing, and she's dancing, and she's doing her thing, and I'm looking at her, and I'm going, yo, when on earth did this song become chores music? Right? Because, like, this song is now some shit that you put on when you working out, when you exercise, and you cleaning, you doing something where it's maybe a little bit boring, and you want to get back to a linear place in life. And
Right.
if we really think about that track and run it back about 10 years, that guy's like a club banger. It's like middle of the night, everybody drunk, everybody having a good time song. And then 10 years goes by. The song doesn't really change at all because it's a song, but our lives and the context surrounding it evolves so much that now this song has kind of become a little bit more like chores music or something to that effect, which got me thinking about all the little ones and how while they out there club and whatnot, they have no idea that they're going to end up just washing dishes to this music one day. And what they also don't know is that we're washing dishes to their club music right now. And that's just kind of how the process of life works. But why I bring all this up is because as music people, musicians, etc., we kind of are on these journeys. And when we normally talk to people and we normally hear the stories of artists, everybody kind of starts it at this like adolescent phase when I first got into hip hop, when I first started writing, and all of these things. But really, that's kind of deep into the story. Like, if you think about music and your exposure to it, you could run that all the way back to whatever hospital you're probably born at, and there's going to be some song playing in the room that you're in. And I
Right.
say that like, I can remember being like 5 years old or so. My dad's got these gray boxes, the amp and the radio and the tape deck and all these wires and shit going out the speakers and whatnot. He'd be running his Led Zeppelins and things during the day. At nighttime, it would be the club music of Montreal, like live from the clubs playing through the radio. And the cars would be a whole different vibe. My mom's was more on this discos and musicals and this whole other energy. And all of that stuff really impacted me. I had no control over it, but I was still listening to it that whole time until I got old enough to gain some control of my life. So with all that, Mr. Quest Mcody, could you run us back to the smallest Quest Mcody you can remember being, as young as possible, and tell us a little bit about what it sounded like to be you, the environment that you were in, the tech, all of the stuff that was around when you were young?
My 80s baby. Um, yeah, I went to a Michael Jackson concert as a 5-year-old. My mom was in like I didn't really know about rap until I got like in the 2nd or 3rd grade. Like nobody listened to it.
Right.
It's a lot of Michael Jackson in my house, a lot of Prince. I watched, the regular shit, Sesame Street, different shit. My mom worked late, so I stayed with my grandmother during the night. So she didn't listen to music. Like I don't recall there being music played at my grandmother's house. Like I watched Michael Jackson videos, but I don't ever remember anyone playing music. My
That's
mother,
huge.
yeah, man. I was definitely the first person in my family that got involved in music at a real young age because I was rapping at like 2nd, 3rd grade. My mother listened to like I guess you would call it like techno or like pump up the jam. So I guess that was rapping, but they weren't really rapping. Like boom 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 boom
Oh
boom.
man, I remember all of
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that kind of shit. And like
Yeah, my
so
dad liked that.
I really like when it like it was that, man. I was a single parent household. Um, my mom worked nights, man, so I was up a lot on my own, because she had to sleep in order to go to work. So, I kind of occupied myself, cartoons. Uh, as I matured and got older, it changed. I started getting involved with what was going on outside. But to go back to your question, when I think about the youngest age I could think about, um, Michael Jackson music being played in the house, Prince music, uh, concerts. Like I said, I went to a Michael Jackson concert. I never forget that.
That's crazy. So you're like super young. What's it like to go to a Michael Jackson show? And it's amazing because like if there is an artist to come up at this age, it's gonna be like Michael Jackson. That's that significant.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it'll ever be. I think Michael Jackson might be the most popular person to ever walk this planet, and that's including everybody. Um, People in the history books and the Bibles, like every single human being. I believe that. But at the concert, man, what I remember is watching him on stage because we were in like nosebleed seats or whatever because we didn't have a whole lot of money, but
Right.
we went to this. Um, and like my family went. I had on a Michael Jackson like coat, not like a Thriller jacket, but like a shirt or some shit like that. I remember him doing like I don't know what song it was. It might have been Man in the Mirror. And he did a spin and he dropped to his knees. And I remember being like in the aisle and every move he did, I was trying to do. And I remember he spent and he dropped to his knees. And I dropped to my knees. And I remember getting older and thinking, like, yo, I must have, like, Mike had on knee pads. I must have messed my legs up, my knees up doing that. But I remember that. I remember never seeing those many people in one place. And I remember looking at him like on the stage and wanting to do that. Like legitimately wanting to, like I didn't sing, I didn't dance, but I remember like that probably piqued and sparked my interest in the arts and performing uh, as a whole.
So like Outside of music, when you were young, before you got into rapping, did you have any other things like drawing or sports or stuff that you was into?
Yeah, man, I'm actually a really I was a really good artist. Uh I went actually got the fine arts school here in Michigan. I actually got accepted to the same school Aaliyah went to. Aaliyah was older than me, but um like I got accepted to that school. I didn't go because it was too far from my neighborhood. Um but I drew. I never really like explored it. Like I was just naturally good at it. So like I didn't know that like now that I'm older and I could like I go on YouTube and I look up art techniques and things like that, right? Um so I do it sometimes in my spare time, but I used to draw a lot, man, and I could draw anything I look at that's not a human being. Like I couldn't like duplicate human beings, but if it's a cartoon, I can draw it. If it's a caricature of a person, I could draw it. So that was my thing. I played basketball with my friends. I was never like really good, but I played it with my friends. Um, Video games, man. We used to play cops and robbers, dog. We used to play a wild version of cops and robbers, dog. Like we all had. This is wild because I wouldn't let my kids do this, but we literally had like bags full of fake guns, dog, and all these guns look real. They don't even make these guns. They were giving these to kids. We literally had fake guns that looked real, dog, and we would run around and kick in doors to garages and jump through windows, not even really knowing what we were emulating or whatever. So, just, Detroit shit.
Yeah, it's wild to think about. I mean,
Right? It
just
was
a,
ridiculous. Dog. It was
yeah,
ridiculous. Dog. Now I think about it, man, we literally, and I remember like being so young that I didn't really understand like what a police raid was, right? And we were simulating a police raid. And somebody in our little crew of people that was playing, because it would be like 10 or 15 of us, dog. Um, Somebody knew what a police raid was because we set it up perfectly. It was like motherfuckers was gonna be in the garage and we was gonna kick in the garage door and they was gonna have to run out and we had to catch the motherfucker. Like it was literally a police raid. Now I think about it, that was horrible.
that is definitely kind of big. Yeah, it's not at all the kinds of shit we was doing when I was young.
Man.
Um, but that's crazy though. Just to like, I thought about cap guns recently because that's a wild thought if you ran around with fucking cap guns now, but that's like to a whole next level with it. But so like you said though, like following that, you kind of got into rapping in like the second grade, which is
Yeah.
kind of pretty early in life. That's what, like 9, 10 years old or something, maybe a little younger.
You're
Um,
in the first grade, you're 7 in the second grade. I was 7.
7 years old and you start rapping. How does
Yeah.
that even happen?
I was they were having the a teacher came to the class and said, "Who knows how to do the moonwalk?" I raised my hand. I did the moonwalk, which was a poorly executed moonwalk. I did it, and they pulled me out of class and they let me go to this little group room where people were um, getting together for like a school program, and they start doing like hip hop dances. I never really seen like hip hop dances. Like I seen Michael Jackson, you know. So people were doing all this shit, and I couldn't do it.
Like
So I,
breaking and whatnot?
I don't know what they were doing, dog, but whatever they were doing, I couldn't do it. Okay. They might have just been doing the running man or some shit. I don't know, dog, but like I couldn't do it. I'd never really seen it. And I started crying. Like I was sad because I couldn't do it. I started crying. Um, and the janitor, man, the teacher and the janitor got with me, and the janitor was like, "Well, maybe you could write a rap." And I was like, "I don't know how to, what do you mean? How do you rap?" Or whatever. And he was like, "Oh, you just say a sentence and you just rhyme the last word or whatever." And he gave me the first one. He like, "Okay, so rhyme this." And he was an older guy, like he was a grown up. So he was like, "We are jive, and this isn't a hustle." He used jive or whatever. And he's like, now come up with a sentence. And the next sentence I wrote, he's like, make it about reading. And I was like, okay, we're gonna tell you about mental muscle. He like, okay, come up with the next sentence. And it was like, we're gonna tell you about mental muscle. Here's something that you truly need. I'm gonna show you all that it's cool to read. If you couldn't read, you wouldn't know the score. You wouldn't be able to count your change at the store. So that was like literally my intro to rapping.
Did you
And then
just hold on? Did you just quote your own 7-year-old bars?
yeah.
Bro, nobody ever does that. That's amazing.
So we did that, and the school would back me up and rap behind me for the next 2 years or whatever. And then it became something that the school said every year after I left. Like I left after that year, but the school kept doing those programs to the point that I came back into the school district in the 8th grade, and they had the young kids from the elementary school come over to do a program. And they were still rapping the shit that I said in the 7th grade. I mean, in the when I was in the 2nd grade.
You created a cultural legacy for your school at 7 years old.
Yeah. But
That's
yeah,
pretty
man,
fucking blessed.
I remember shit, man, the first time I went in the studio, man, I was in the 4th grade.
So now you're like 10-ish.
Yeah. And I was rapping about some my name is Key Money, filling up on blackjack. I'm in the black hat, hitting with the back smack. Never selling out. I'm from the east side, Detroit punch line, making money most times. Yo, I gotta get mine. Like I was just rapping about shit I didn't know about. You better fill up on your endo because I'm not your friendo, your buddy, or your pal. I'm not the nigga you should fall on. Like it was just like I just was putting stuff together, and I couldn't listen to shit with cursing in it. So like I didn't know about NWA. I didn't know about like I knew about like the Fresh Prince. My first like rap album, CD, whatever it was like the Fresh Prince, Heavy D, Kid and Play. Like the first rap album that I had with a parental advisory sticker was Method Man's, like Method Man or something, like his first album or something like that, man.
Yeah, it's serious still. So, how do you end up getting into a studio in grade 4? Like, I mean, I guess you got some exposure at this point rapping as like a 8-year-old legacy, but like that's still a big evolution to get to a point where you're in a studio. That's really cool.
I taught my little cousin how to rap. Um, he was 5, he was 6 when I was 7. So I learned how to rap, and he was around me all the time. So I'm like, yo, man, you're gonna learn how to rap. So I just started writing raps for him or whatever. And how we did it, like I would write a rap, and the idea, we didn't know that like you write your own raps. We thought that, yo, if I got an idea for a song, I write the song and you rap it, your parts. And so early on, I would write raps, he would write raps, but we went to the studio because he looked in the yellow pages, man, and he found a recording studio, and he called the number, and they said it was $100 for 4 hours, and we didn't have a beat, nothing. We went in there and made a song. Like we made the beat. Like the engineer helped us make the beat. We recorded it. He gave it to us. We said nigga a whole lot, but we didn't cuss. And from there, man, we started getting like equipment at home. And then by the time I got in the 7th grade, I started going to the studio on a regular, and we assigned the deal or whatever with a label here in Detroit.
You got signed to a label that early?
Yeah, when I was 7, man, we were going like to like adult clubs in Detroit and performing. Like they were smoking weed, all kind of shit, dog. I'm in the 7th grade. My mother's there or whatever, like watching us, making sure, and we perform, and then we would have to leave. But we assigned to this label. It was called Interphase Metroplex Records, and it was ran by a guy named Juan Atkins, who's responsible for house music. Like he literally, it's either house or techno. I don't know. I know that it's a BPM difference in distinguishing the two, and it's a rhythm difference.
Right.
But if you look him up, his name is Juan Atkins, and he actually started Like what we know now is EDM. He started, literally started that.
And that dude signed you.
Yep. Me and my cousin.
That's
Yeah,
that's
we
one
had
hell of
a
a flex.
yeah, we had a demo deal, man. It really wasn't nothing. We just signed to do a song and a B side or whatever, and we recorded the song and the B side. But they had never put out rap. You feel me? So it was kind of and plus we were kids and should just did what it did.
I still think that getting to a position where at that point you got that kind of exposure is wild. Like just to go performing at a club at that age is not the common experience in any
Word.
way, shape, or form. And it's a testament to like one of the things that I guess I think about as I do this a lot and I talk to people is you're still doing things all this time later. Like I listened to the project you dropped in 2018,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like so it's not like you stopped making music. Nah, you're just decades deep now. So it's like this is just the start of something that turns into kind of like an epic run, you know? So that's
Yeah,
wild.
yeah, it was definitely something to learn from. Like it taught me how to create. I actually like being in the studio so young. I always ended up with engineers that showed me how and why they were doing stuff. So even at a young age, by the time I was like 17 years old, I had a full-time job as an engineer at a recording studio. Like I went to school for it. I damn near tested out of the classes. Um, I let me rewind. Um, I got out of I got promoted in high school. I skipped a grade, so like I went from the 10th grade to the 12th grade. So I got out of high school when I was 16, right? So I start while I was in college, I started going to taking up classes on sound engineering, and I ended up getting hired at what was the biggest studio in the Metro Detroit area at the time, or one of the most popular. This place called the Disc. Um, Guy named Greg Riley um, hired me, and I had learned a lot from this dude named Robert Odell. I haven't seen him since I was a kid. I love the if anybody know this guy, if y'all can put me in contact with him. But I met with this guy Robert Odell. He showed me so much, and I instantly like as a late teen, man, I'm working in these recording studios, and I rap. So it was like I was really working there so I could record my music at a quality level. You know what I'm saying? And be able to make a
Mm.
little money doing what I like. So like I ended up like I did some sessions and sat in some sessions with like Busta Rhymes, Proof, um,
Say
and a
word.
few other people. Like as a kid, as a youngin or whatever, MC Breed, um, and shit. There, I learned a lot from people just working there. So I've always been involved, whether it was behind the scenes or in front of the camera.
I mean, what's it like being in sessions with people like that? Like, what are some of the lessons you can say having worked with people like that are actually professional at it?
Man, at that point I couldn't tell you much, man, because it was me trying to wrap my head around certain things, and I was also young, so I wasn't always
Right.
I didn't know what to do or say. I was quiet. I was starstruck. I was trying to work hard and show that I could do certain things. But I was trying not to cross like that platform. The a few things I learned. Um, Buster was a perfectionist, but he was also very competitive. We ended up the best moment wasn't even like sitting in the room for a few seconds. It was we played NBA Streets on PlayStation and I kicked his ass. Like like but like he tried to one up me because I had beat his homie on the game and I had the Lakers and I'm a real big Kobe Bryant fan. And he was like, yo, so the Lakers is my team, man. So, how we gonna do this? And in my mind is like, this Busta Rhymes. Usually, somebody probably would be like, oh man, well, you're Busta Rhymes. You can have whoever you want. Well, I was like, well, shit, man, I just won. So I'm gonna pick the Lakers since I won. And he said, well, we just gonna be two Lakers having motherfuckers then. And you know, in my mind, I'm about to kick Busta Rhymes' ass in this game, right? And I'm gonna win and put my name in the computer. I mean, in the ranking as the winner. And he's gonna be so amazed by me being able to kick his ass in this game. He's gonna say, "Hey, man, do you rap?" Like that never happened. But like because I was, you know, I was worried about saying I rap when I'm supposed to be like an engineer here. You know what I'm saying? So that was really dope. I learned a lot about the business because the guy that owned the studio, he owned a lot of the Parliament catalog, and he wasn't in fucking Parliament. And that, you know, confused me when I first got there. I was like, yo, how does that work? How did you you know, how did you like how does he own George Clinton? Like he don't play no instruments. He ain't write no fucking songs. What happened? And so, you know, I got information and that started like opening up my eyes to like, oh damn, man, it's really like people can own people's stuff. Damn, you know. So those are some of the valuable lessons I learned outside of just the art of recording, mixing, and mastering and shit like that.
So at that point, you're basically super young, out of high school and college, kind of in the studio, getting paid full time to be an engineer, which already is wild, because like that's something people crave to do now and they're still struggling to pull off. So that's a hella flex. Um, you're working with people that have incredible stories come out of it. So what happens at that point? Are you like super focused on the music at this point? And at the same time, are you getting involved in battles at this point, or is that like something that just kind of comes later on?
Now it comes later on. I didn't even really. I didn't know about battle. I was on the set of 8 Mile as an extra when
Wait,
I actually found out about like the battle rap scene.
you got to be a extra on the set at 8 Mile.
Yep.
That's for how? That's fucking cool.
Um. Well, just to rewind real quick, I had a kid. Um.
Mm.
Shortly after I had a kid, when I was like 18, 19. So the scope of what life was about kind of changed. It was about providing or whatever, not just for me, but for my kid. And I was a kid. Like, so I didn't spend any time as an adult, like taking care of me. It was either I was being taken care of by my parent or I was taking care of a kid. When it comes down to the 8 Mile, fast forward a few years, the film at 8 Mile, my manager at the time, I met my manager because there was a recording studio near my house, and I just walked up there and knocked on the door and told them that I made beats, and I did, but I wanted to rap. You know what I'm saying? But that was my end. I was like, yo, man, I make beats. I'm a producer, so they had all the equipment, so I go there and I make beats and fuck around. And I found out who was managing the label, and I was like, hey, can I give you some of my stuff? And I gave him every song I had ever recorded in my life. Um, it was on 2 tapes. It was like 180 minutes worth of me just rapping to anything I could get my hands on. And he was managing. He started giving me shows. My first big show, ironically, was opening up for the Wu-Tang Clan.
Nice.
Um, and the irony in that is, like, I got Method Man on my album coming out in a few months called Jonah. But so he was managing this guy named Stripe, who was in 8 Mile, and he played Lickety Split. He was the guy where Eminem grabbed his legs and pulled him out from under him on top of the car or whatever.
Right.
And they were holding auditions, and he got a role. I didn't get a role, but they allowed me to be an extra. You know what I'm saying? So what's funny is my cousin was actually called to be an extra and he didn't want to go or couldn't go. And I told him I'd go, and I just showed up. And man, I was on the set every single day in the cold, hand warmers in my pockets, hand warmers in my shoes that they're supplying, going to wardrobe, learning about continuity, seeing how films are made, shot, directed. I met Proof during that time. Rest in peace, Big Proof. We played chess. That's how I met him. I never really rapped on set, but there was a open mic night in Detroit that I've been trying to get into because I wanted to showcase my skill, but I was either too young or I would get there too late. And so I saw the bouncer on the set of the movie. And I was like, yo, man, I can really rap, man. I've been trying to go to this little open mic so I could rap. And he was like, all right, man, let me see what happens. So the battles, they had the competition to see who would be able to rap on, rap against Eminem. It's the thing that, like, if you're familiar with Marv One, he battles Eminem in this scene. So does Super MC, so does the Fusion, so does a guy named G Wiz. And cats got up there and they were auditioning to be a part of it. And it was every rapper. And I'm sitting up and I'm like, I'm watching these guys go up there and rap. And I'm not on the list to get my name because I didn't know about it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't get there in time for it. So everybody's there and I'm watching these motherfuckers. And I'm like, man, I could do that. like I'm like, and I'm seeing people saying, oh, and I'm like, yo, I can do that. Like I had clever lines and stuff, but I never directed my raps at anybody. You know what I'm saying? But I'm sitting up, I'm like, yo, I could do that. That ain't shit. And I thought, oh, this is what you do to get recognition so people can respect what you do. I had never found an outlet like that. Like I was doing like talent shows where you'll fucking lose to some motherfuckers dancing. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like in like it'd be like, what the fuck, man? I lose to a gospel choir. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, yo, I could do this. And I went to that open mic, man, and I started rapping at the open mic. The first battle I got in, Big Proof from D12, man, he was hosting it, and I won the battle. And when he saw me, he was like, he remembered me from playing chess, right? And he called me Poindexter because he was like, I look like a whiz kid or something because I looked really really young. And I won $100, dog, and that started it. And by the end of that same year, I had a TV show on Showtime, and it was about battle rapping.
Hold on, we gotta get to that for sure. But like, Proof was one of my favorites when I was younger, back in like the high school days. What's it like? Like, what's he like? Like, that guy is pretty epic to me.
Man, he cared about the city. He cared about the MCs. He cared about all sides of hip hop when it came down to rap. He's a great leader, man. He gave a lot of opportunity. Um, he would go to the Grammys and then come host shit. He went to the Grammys and got home and hosted my battle and gave me $100 out of his pocket. He would do a show with Eminem and 50 Cent and then come around the corner to the local open mic and listen. He would, a motherfucker came from Minnesota. I was at a strip club playing the video. I used to go to the strip club. I was younger than I should be, and I used to play video games and sell weed. And that was my thing because the strippers had money, and the people that came to see them had money. So if you get a stripper some weed to smoke, she gonna bring people to buy weed from you, allegedly. So man,
Allegedly.
proof would proof would like I remember a guy came from Minnesota and he was talking shit and I battled him and I kicked his ass and he was still talking shit. And then Proof just started battling this guy freestyling like a nobody from Minnesota. And while this guy was 6'2", 250, he was a big guy. And Proof is just slapping his chest while he rapping to him. Dog. He just like, and I'm telling you, and like it was crazy. But he was fun loving, man. He really took care of his own, man. It was a lot of people. I wasn't always around like his immediate circle. He and I had our independent relationship. But like the people that he had like on his record label, and the people that he rocked with, he was very, very supportive, and he helped a lot of people see a lot of things in this game and in this culture that they wouldn't have ever seen. And he gave me my best piece of advice in a rap battle. He told me, "Don't hold back." I was in a battle and I did win, and he was like, "Did you have more stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." He like, "What was you waiting on?" I like, "I didn't want to use all my good shit into the near the end." He like, "See where I got you?" He like, "You'll always come up." And this was when I was, you freestyle. He's like, "Yo, man, you'll always come up with more stuff." So rap.
Yeah, that's big. So I guess from that point, how do you get from the open mic to a show? Like that's a pretty huge transition in a pretty quick amount of time.
Battle rap was taken off. So they were Interscope Records, Jimmy Iovine and Paul Rosenberg were putting together a show for Showtime called The Next Episode. And they would grab different they would get two MCs from Detroit, Atlanta, New York, New Jersey, and California. And they wanted just the best rappers to compete. And it wasn't just battling, it was like battling, but it was also showcasing skill, right? So um they started scouting. They sent scouts and they start asking people like, who are the good rappers? Who are the dope rappers from Detroit? And they say my name came up a lot. Other names came up too. And they went through a vetting process, man. They called my phone, man. They talked to me about my story. And they ended up selecting me and another person. And what it would do, it was the first time battle rap was seen on the seen like on television in a raw form and not just a contest, right? Because they had the Blaze battle where they just had them in a room rapping, but
Right.
this was they they followed my life, my backstory. They went with me to get my daughter, talk to my mom, my friends. It was like a behind the scenes thing. It was called Interscope Presents The Next Episode. Um, so to do that, I had to sign a deal with Interscope, obviously, to participate. So that was really dope. It was around the time like 50 Cent had was on fire, just coming out. So I did the show. Um, I won the Detroit competition and went to and the finals was the battle where Proof gave me the advice. So literally my first 9 months in the battle rap, I had a TV show.
That's serious.
Yeah.
So like that must put you into a more spotlight in terms of this. And this is all like the super early parts of battle rap based on
It
what
is
you're
the early
describing.
2000s. Like this the early 2000s. Like they weren't doing the battles on MTV. 106 and Park wasn't around. I was literally the first battle rapper like with a show on TV. I was the
That's
first episode of the showing it. It was one of Showtime's top shows that fall.
that's pretty momentous, man. I was definitely too young for that, but like mostly because of them. My parents were like, "You can't listen to anything with swearing in it," so like rap got cut
like
out.
my parents. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I only turned 18 in like 2007 or 5 or 6 or
Okay.
something like that. So it was a couple years later that I was able to unlock the whole hip hop universe in my
Yeah.
life. But that's still an incredible accomplishment. What's it like being on TV like that? Like, what's that experience?
The very first time, because like since then I did like I've done shows for MTV. I did Made, I did True Life, and a few other things. But the very first experience was, man, it was an opportunity, like it was a big deal because everybody didn't have a camera, right? So now it's kind of normal to go out and see somebody with a camera and a light
Right.
and something that looks semi-professional. Um, this was a whole camera crew, boomsticks, light reflectors, guys with the shoulder cams, and they were following me around the streets of Detroit. Um, it was amazing, man. It was, and it also showed me how like people come around when something good happens, because it was like my neighborhood was in a frenzy, dog. It was like 100 people outside all the time. Um, my For my mom, it was dope because one, they included her in the show. Uh,
Right.
and my daughter was also in the show. She's shit an adult now, but they they it was my mother's first time taking what I was doing serious, and like I wasn't just bullshit. Because
Right.
it was the first time that she got, like, I remember I took my mother to see 8 Mile, and it was a really big deal that she could see me in one of the scenes. And I'm in the scene so quickly that like only my mama can see me. You know, you know what I'm saying? Um,
I
so this
mean, that by itself is crazy though. Like,
I was over in the 313 side. The fuck it's 313. I was over there with everybody, like when he won, he ran off. So anyway, um,
oh, that's crazy. Still,
my
like just to be in the room for that. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
that final battle scene, all the battle scenes, I was there for every battle scene. Um, and that's literally what was like, yo, I'm gonna battle rap. So um my mom got a chance to see me doing something tangible with my craft, and I was getting paid, and it was it was network television, so it was a pretty decent. It was better than any check that I had ever received before. Like I won like $100 rap battle a few times a week. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely significant, and it was very very valuable. The only thing I could say is that it happened so quickly that I really didn't understand everything. Like Jimmy Iovine wanted to meet me, and I kind of went over to say what's up and like slapped his hand and kept it moving because I was mad that I lost the battle. It was like, yeah, Jimmy really likes your song. Give me a reason. He wants to talk to you. He wants to meet you. And I went over and I'm like, hey, Quest, this is Jimmy. Jimmy, this is Quest. I'm like, oh man, what's up? And I just kept it moving. Like I didn't
Yo,
know who the
that's
fuck Jimmy was. They was just
oh
like,
my
Jimmy
gosh.
wants to meet you. And I'm like, who the fuck is Jimmy? So, I was very young, very naive, um, very green, but it was the most outstanding thing that could have happened to me at that moment because it made it moved it helped move the culture of battle rap forward too, and I got to be a part of that.
Man, you've been a part of a couple of cultural moments, if I understand correctly.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, that's fucking cool stills. So you go through the TV show experience, and I guess what happens after that? Because you're still in like the part where like battle rap isn't necessarily structured. Like I've had the pleasure of talking to a few people who have kind of guided me that like it's kind of like with direct and a little bit later on that it starts to get like more formalized and everybody kind of gets on board with it. So at this point, what's the next steps for you?
I started doing music. I had a deal to produce music with Interscope during the time, so I started working on music. Um, I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? I really wasn't polished as an artist, but I was, getting there. I started working on music, started traveling, doing shows. Being on the show allowed me an opportunity to be a part of some really dope tours. I got to go on the road for a few days with 50. Um, I got to
What?
I got to do a lot of like cool things. Like I didn't interact with him. Like he's not gonna see me and be like, "Oh, Quest, I remember you." But I still got the opportunity. Um, from there, man, I was just doing music, man, selling, doing music throughout the just touring, going on indie tours, doing shit like that. Battle rap start like just making his moves and doing what it was doing, but nothing was paying like I was getting paid on TV. So, matter of fact, everything was free. So it never made sense, like unless it was like something like tangible. Like I couldn't do competitions anymore because it just didn't fit what I was trying to do. Fast forward,
So if
a
anything, you could say like the fact that you had such high scale opportunities kind of made it hard to move into the lower scale opportunities again because you had tasted something bigger.
yeah, but I still participated in things like in the city. Sometimes things that come along. I do a battle here or there with that some substantial money. Like if I could bet like $3, $4, $5,000 or something like that. then it would be like, okay, cool, I could leave here and I could get paid because I'm not gonna lose. That was my mindset. Yo, I'm not gonna lose. So if somebody want to bet some money that's worth something, then we could do it. Fast forward, uh, competition came about called the WRC, the World Championship, World Rap Championship.
Right.
And it was put on by this league, Jump Off TV, out in London. And they approached me the first year and they asked if I would be a part of it. And I said no, because it didn't pay. The grand prize was $25,000. It was 2-on-2 battle rap. I didn't have like a 2-on-2 partner like that. They wanted me to team up with this guy named Swan from Detroit. And Swan is one of my good friends, but we just didn't do it. The next year, the prize went up from 25 to 50,000, and they called me again, and they called Marv, and me and Marv talked, and we was like, "Hey man, you wanna do this?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." Like me and Marv weren't friends. We didn't hang out with each other at all, and we was just like, "Fuck it, man, let's go for it." And we started hanging out with each other, and we started like getting to know one another, um, and got into the WRC. So that was another monumental point for battle rap. Um, Not only were these videos, this is prior to like YouTube being as popular as it is now, but these battles were being put up on their site, um, and people in the industry were watching these battles, however they were watching them. Um, and then they ended up on Comcast on demand. It was one of the first things that was like on demand. Like that was something else. We were the first artists, just like where you could just go to your television and like pull up a rap battle. You know what I'm saying? Um, so
That's wild.
we, yeah. So once they put us on demand, it started like generating the demand throughout the states or whatever, because you could see us anywhere. WRC ended how it ended. Another team won. The company folded, and enters Direct. Direct was a participant in the WRCs, and we got cool because like they were flying us out to like host certain battles and places, and that's kind of how, we made money. Um, when it was like, yo, nah, y'all can't get me in this tournament, but you could pay me to host, or you could pay me to appear, or you could pay me to be a judge. So that was kind of where the bag was at the time. Like you could get like more money than sometimes the people battling. Just go judge. So met Direct. He started talking about grind time and his ideas. Early on, it was a magazine, and we developed it into a battle league. It took me a very long time to actually participate in like one-on-one battles after that. But I continued to make music, man. I put out an album called The Light Project. It did really good, man. It ended up in the I ended up getting like top unsigned artists in the Vibe magazine, like in the world. I mean, in the country. Um, and I was just doing music, man. And fortunately, like some other TV opportunities came along. I ended up being a maid coach. If you're familiar with MTV Made, they send a professional into a school, and we surprise a kid that wants to do something. So it was a little white girl that had never rapped before, and they thought like being a rapper would break her out of her shell. So I impersonated a substitute teacher and then was like, "Hey, I'm your rap coach. I'm Quest Mcody." And then they ran my bio, and like, so it was a really dope show. I think they won an Emmy that year. Um, I ain't getting
Damn.
it. Um,
But still, like, damn, that's just big.
yeah, and I did True Life. I'm a battle rapper. Um, some movies. I ended up doing a movie. Like I did a movie called 5K1. It's on Amazon right now. You can see a real young Quest with braids to like right here on my neck or whatever. But man, and then battle rap just took off. I started getting the love for it again, and getting involved with it. And I've just been fortunate enough, like throughout the years, to stay viable, just in hip hop as a whole. And a lot of that is anchored by battle rap. So I'm always appreciative of it.
So I mean, like, so you drop an album in 2008, right? This is kind of at a very pivotal time of music changing, and like just in general. What's it like to like market it before? Because it's like right before streaming picks up. It's like almost the end of like pushing sales the way that it is, you know?
Yeah, man. It's funny because I was ahead of the game. When I put out that album, I had a site called mylightproject.com. The site is no more. Um, it was I branched it off of, they used to have these sites called Ning sites, NING. And with Ning, you could develop subscribers to your site where they could log in, communicate, send each other messages, sort of like what Facebook is, right? Um, but it was this site. And when I put out the album, I had these cards. I printed up actual CDs and shit, but I had these cards. In these cards, if you went to the site and put the code in, you would get a digital version of the album sent to you. So I used to sell the digital version of my album to people on a card at shows. So like when I would go overseas or go somewhere, I couldn't take all these CDs because customs would fry you. So I used to have cards. So it'd be like $5, $10 cards, and you take this card and go on the computer and you type it in, and it'll take you to a landing page where you click a button and it downloads the album. So I was literally doing that, and that was part of it. Um, Actual flyers and posters was important. Live shows. I had a band, man. We had built this big ass it was called the Light Project. So we built the big ass light bulb and put lights all through it so it would light up at the show. So I do that, man. Um, Selling
That's
out
like
the
big. Like this is like a big scale project where this doesn't sound
Yeah,
like
man. It was very like we had live instrumentation. I'm always incorporate live instrumentation on my projects, but it was before people were doing projects with like a one producer the whole album, and like I did that with my man Young Viz. Um, Royce 59 gave me a verse for that, man,
I
and
heard that.
I was just
Uh,
pushing on MySpace, bro. Like MySpace was the truth, bro. Um, to like I said, to the point I got like when MySpace was popping, I was they did a Vibe magazine. I think Keisha Cole was on the cover, and it said top 51 MySpace rappers in the world or in the country, and like it was me, like Skyzoo, Wale, a few other people, man, whose names are eluding me right now, but those are some of the notable people that I remember from that article. Um, and that's how like I it was a lot of print ads and moving around and hustling and selling shit out the trunk, doing shows, selling shit at your show. I always had a merch table, like selling shirts and anything tangible, lighters. So and it was more value to the music. Like it was like you couldn't get shit free, so people were more willing to purchase things that they could hold. And then from there, man, I bought CD duplicators, bruh, and I started printing up mixtapes on my own. Like I could, like real talk. I still got one. It's sitting in the corner, but I I bought CD towers and duplicators, man. I got with a mixtape DJ Young Mace, and we started producing mixtapes in Detroit. Um, and I would engineer them, and like we put some of my songs on them, so my name would stay buzzing in the street. And we ran through like 10,000 um, like copies of shit, man. And the profit on them was crazy because I would go to Micro Center and I would buy blank CDRs and they were silver on top. And you could get a spindle of 100 for $25, and then you could get 100 cases for another 25. So I would spend $50, and then I would bang out 100 CDs at $5 to $10 a CD or whatever every week or whatever, and I just re up because I was printing them or whatever. So that was kind of my hustle. Um, So that, yeah, that's how it was, man. You couldn't really click. Like MySpace made it a little easier. Um, they had a lot of like it wasn't a whole lot of people watching spam like it is now. So they had programs where I could put what I wanted to put in somebody comment or in their inbox, and I could set a timer and it'll just go through my friends list. And I had like 10,000 people, and it would just go to them each one by one and say, hey, this is that. And it will automate it or whatever. So I would do that.
You were
Um,
like bot spamming people back in the day.
no, for sure, bro. Man, for sure, dog.
That's amazing.
For sure. And
That's
I had a website. Shout out to my homie Larry Walker. Uh, like 2002, he put a mixtape of mine on the internet for download, and this was before we knew what value in this information was. But I remember his site got like a million some like when I was on TV, the site where we had the album available got like over a million impressions or whatever it was. And like as time go by, like I meet people in battle rap. Shout out my man Luke Castro. He was like, man, your CD, like I got that, not Luke Castro, I'm sorry, Luke Cypher. He like, yo, man, I got your first mixtape on the internet in some form or whatever. And so kudos and shout out to everybody just along the way that kind of hit me to shit that I wasn't necessarily knowledgeable of.
that's super dope. So like you basically push that touring thing and then like how does it like pivot into battle rap and then like does that mean music is kind of put to the side and like what's it like coming back into battle rap because at that point the format's a little bit different than like the 2-on-2 freestyle stuff.
Yeah. Prior to like I hadn't done any acapella battle rap until we started doing the 2-on-2. Um, Around the time I put out the Light Project earlier that year, I caught a weapons case, um, and I was facing some some time away from my child, and it really fucked me up because I started analyzing the things I was doing just in the public, in the streets, and just with my life. And the Light Project ended up being a project that was really, it was damn near a gospel album or whatever. That's why you got the gospel. But the Light Project it was a clean album. It was a reflective album. I was talking to God a lot, and I was worried. So I didn't like what battle rap made me feel like. I didn't like talking bad and thinking bad and being mad at people. But it was tolerable because it was always spur of the moment. It was like, yo, I just show up and rap. When it turned into premeditated, I got to write it down and I got to think about it. Now I got to consume myself with somebody, and I didn't like how that made me feel, so I stepped away. Um, Around the time I came back, and even now, I only do battles every once in a while. Um, but when I came back, I was working on a different case, and I needed some bread for a lawyer. Like I ain't even gonna hold you. I went to battle head ice because I needed money to pay my lawyer. Uh, I was on bond. I wasn't supposed to leave the state. Um, I went out there and risked my freedom for a few $1,000s. Um, and I got back into it because it changed. It was more. It wasn't all about degrading and thinking bad about your opponent. You could also showcase some of your lyrical skill, and that wasn't there in the beginning. It was like you could showcase your wit, but I rap way better on songs than I did in a battle because you couldn't sound too prepared in battles early on. So you always had to freestyle. And even if you weren't freestyling, you were freestyling. Like you were pulling ideas, old ideas from like it was never like they say go and I got 16 bars. It was like go and I'm freestyling about what I see and thinking about something that got a good reaction last time and I'm saying it again. Um, when battle rap moved into the space where people were becoming intricate writers, it piqued my interest and I wanted to rap with those people. Hence me coming back like in and battling a daylight or whatever is one of my first battles, like just like actually battling on a consistent on a main stage again. Like me and Daylight had a classic, and it was an opportunity to showcase that. Um, so it was never like I couldn't do both because I do both now, but it's a different monster, um, and it's a different feel now.
So like you come back in, what's it like to battle Daylight? Like,
To this day, he's been the most talented opponent that I've had and the most classic battle in that regard. Um, I expected him to rap. It was dope because he matched what I did with with his effort and his skill and his talent. For me, it was just showing that regardless of where you drop me in this shit, I'm still one of the best. So
right.
you put me in a ring with a nobody, man, I'm gonna beat him. I'm gonna show that I'm one of the best. But if you put me in there with the people y'all think are the best, I'll show you why. You know, I can consistently show up, and it's a testament to just being serious about just the art form and always wanting to be as good as sharp as I can. And you know, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful event. And I didn't just battle Daylight; I threw the event. So
Oh, say word. So you like,
yeah,
so not only so you do like everything. You also promote.
yeah, I the whole event. I called every battler. I talked to them. I got a team, so it ain't just it ain't like yo a one man band.
Right, right.
But like we got everybody flights, got everybody flown in, taking them where they need to be. My aunt worked the door. You know what I'm saying? My little cousin helped watch the money. I'm going doing cash drops, hosting, and then oh yeah, let me battle Daylight real quick and have a fucking classic, and then go back to hosting and running the show, along with my wonderful like just staff of people and supporters that help me. Again, because somebody got to hold the camera, somebody got to watch the door, somebody got to be the talent. So it wasn't a one man show, but it was definitely something I organized and put together.
Was that like your first battle coming back into it? Like that seems like a huge move.
I battled a guy named Dice Roller earlier that year as like a warm up kind of battle. Really talented guy from Detroit. He was on the come up. He was a newer battler at the time, and he was looking to get his feet, wet in the culture. And he and I got a really dope relationship. And I actually also produce music, so I produced a few beats for him too. And but like at the time, he was, a young guy, man, saying, it's over for me, and I ain't shit. And I just had to step up and just dust off the dust off the suit, throw it on, and be Superman for a minute. Um, but man, it was dope, man. Just coming back and being able to participate at a high level after sitting for so long or not doing these things as often as everybody else. So it's always good to be able to do that, and it's still be considered one of the best at doing this in the world. That's important, and that's really dope after all these years.
And you're still doing it to this day, which is incredible. Um, what's it like, I guess, being part of the Detroit underground scene? Like, I think you're the first person I've talked to from Detroit in general, and coming up with that, like, what's the actual music scene like? Is there a lot of places to perform? Is it well structured?
I'm a little removed from it now. Um, I got homies. I'm a partner in a spot called the Stash House Culture Shop. It's a event space, also a clothing boutique, as well as a podcast station, studio station. Um, and they throw open mics every Saturday on 7 Mile in Detroit. Stash House Culture Shop for those listening. So while I don't go to those as much, like those style things, for me coming up, it was always an open mic or a battle or something, but it was very segregated, like separated rather, not segregated, but separated by like it'll be like the boom bap street music, think Jeezy, and I mean I'm sorry, it'll be the street music, think Jeezy, and then the boom bap music, think Talib Kweli. Okay. Um, So for a long time, it was a separation. Like it was really, really good rappers, and then people that just made music. Um, and there was beef. I came from the street though. You feel me? So the people I grew up around, they didn't really listen to all this rapidy rap shit that I was participating in and doing, you know? Um, so it was always a disconnect there. Whereas like when you look at the music game now, when you look at like T Grizz, some of these people becoming popular from Michigan, T Grizzly, 42 Doug, Payroll, um, to name a few, Doughboy Cash Out, to name a few. Um, People from that style of rap from Detroit, underground scene. Shout out to Rock Bottom. Shout out to Eastside Cheddar Boys. Shout out to Street Lords, Juan Blade Ice Wood RIP. Um, when you would watch TV and you see, let's say Eminem, or you would see Slum Village, there were certain people that didn't feel that Detroit was being represented by them, and it was like it was, but a certain part of Detroit wasn't being represented in the music industry. So like
Right.
when you say yo Detroit rap, you think about Slum Village, you think about Royce 5'9", you think about Eminem, and that's kind of where you stop. Um, Ushered in, Here Comes Big Sean. That's a different look for Detroit, but it still wasn't like like. And Big Sean is a phenomenal rapper, and I think he embodies Detroit. But it wasn't necessarily the street like gutter like representation that had been popular in the city. So like the shit that you hear now, the 42 does, the 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 T Grizzlies and the payrolls and everybody else that's making noise from the city, that sound existed in the city for over the past 20 years. It just wasn't getting recognition.
Right.
Um, so, but like as far as like what cats got to go through now on the like underground scene, it's a lot different because of the internet. Like most of the people that end up getting popular, you've never seen them perform in your life. Like I've never seen 42 Doug perform, but you know he's you know like it ain't like he gotta go. And I don't know what his story was or what he did, but it isn't like the only way to make noise now is going to a bunch of open mics and driving all around the city every week.
Yeah, that's a huge transition.
Yeah.
So basically, as you're running through the battle rap stuff, you're kind of just managing a music career at the same time. I know you end up dropping a next project, The Gospel, in 2018. How do you get to this point of like setting it up? Are you doing mixtapes the whole time? Like, what like are you kind of I guess managing both the battle rap and the music at the same time throughout the 2010s as it progresses?
Pretty much. And like some of that time, you know, in raising my daughter, I'm a single dad or whatever. I got a son as well. And I co-parent with his mom. But like my daughter, like I had custody of my daughter from 5 years old. So um, I was doing some of everything, man. At some point in times, I was hustling, whether it was legal or illegal. Um, I worked for Live Nation, like doing all they flyer promo and print or whatever for a long time.
So
Um,
what does that entail? Like you would
um,
run.
I, I I did all the print work. Like Kanye West is coming to town. I printed the flyers and the posters, and they got them distributed to a street team. They got them posted around the city or put wherever they needed to put them for publicity. But I handled the physical print work from all the Michigan uh, concerts for Live Nation for about a year or two. Um, and as a vendor, like I didn't like as a contractor, my company did. Um,
Right.
but like I did that, but I had a kid, man. I had a daughter. She was my number one priority. I stepped away from a lot of things, from doing a lot of things, because she was in a predicament while I was actually establishing myself, where her mother wasn't really in the space to, in my belief, provide for my daughter in a way that she would need to thrive. and not have to go through the kind of and I had to be subject to some of the experiences that her or I had, right? Um, so I made a decision to chill, man. I went and my brother got killed um, around the time we did 212 the WRC. So I really wasn't focused on like I was fucked up, and like I said, I had been living a life that wasn't necessarily where I could have, you know, been on the same path as my brother. Um, so I had to step back, bruh. I went and got a job, man, and tried to do that for a while, man, and um, just took care of my daughter and battled sometime on the weekend if somebody booked me, did a show here and there, and like my daughter in school to be a doctor now. She a junior in college.
Yeah, it's fucking cool.
And so, um, you know, but I was always able to. That's why, like, I never get any excuses or any. I never. I don't take no like motherfuckers say they ain't got time. It's like, yo, you don't never got time. That's why you make time or
Mm.
whatever. You got to figure it out. Figure out how you gonna do it. But I've always just like music is my passion. Like I could do that right now. I could sit down and create music. When it comes down to battling, it's still a passion. I got a passion for the culture, the art, how it's done, the things we do. But it's much more difficult of a task for me to write 3 rounds of a rap battle than it is for me to write 3 songs.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. It almost feels like battle rap ended up becoming more of like a trade in a sense, and you're just into that, whereas music's like what you really into in terms of desire.
Well, no, I mean I'm into both. Like for a long time, I ran from the stigma or the title of battle rapper, but it's what I'm known most for, and is what's paid a lot of bills, man, over the years. So, um, you know, I embrace battle rap with open arms, man. I never try to do a
Right.
separation. If you're a supporter of what I do quality shit. So, you know, fuck with me.
So like, what are some of the coolest places you got to go travel? And like, what's that experience of just traveling around for music and battling like?
Um, Outside of the U.S., I say one of my favorite places to go is London. Um, I like London. I like Calgary was cool too, man. Calgary, I'm a pescatarian now, but back then, like I had the best steak I had ever had in my life in Calgary at a just a Irish pub. Like it wasn't even like a fancy ass restaurant. Um, I like London though. It's something about seeing people that look exactly like me that don't sound shit like me that intrigues my mind. Like
I feel that.
it intrigues my mind, bro. Like the first time I heard somebody that looked like me with a different kind of accent, I was in like Toronto, bro, and I'd ask somebody for directions, and the guy started talking, and I was stuck. Like I was like, because where I'm from, like Detroit is set up like is black people here, and then in the suburbs of Detroit, the different like there might be different races, but like I was never in a class like, and I didn't grow up in segregation. You feel me? I'm an '80s baby again. Um,
Right.
there weren't white kids in my class. There were white teachers in my school, but there were no white kids in my class. I didn't have a class with a white kid till I got in the 10th grade,
That's
and then
serious.
again in college. There weren't white people in my neighborhood. I didn't know white people. I didn't have like it took it took rap, hip hop to introduce me to people from everywhere, man, and create some really dope relationships over the years, man. But so my thing has always been about the people that I meet where I go. Like I've been in some parts of Mexico that like I met some just interesting people, man. And early on, like that was the big thing for me, being able to travel and go places and see people because the people in my neighborhood, like they hadn't been nowhere, you know,
Right.
like anywhere. So, you know, that was that was the biggest importance for me.
Super
But
cool.
yeah, London, man, I really like London. I want to go to Africa.
Africa looks like it would be a crazy experience still.
Yeah.
Do you have any like country in particular you want to go?
I want to go to Egypt, man. Like, I want to see the pyramids. Like, I know, like, that's gonna be a far fetched thing right now, um, and probably not the best thing for me to do based on how things are in the country. But like, man, I want to go. I actually passed up an opportunity to go to Johannesburg because of schedule conflicts that I should have just changed. Now, in
Right.
retrospect, just looking at how the world is now.
Yeah, I don't actually consider what it would be like to travel to Egypt now. It's not the safest location on earth, I would
Not
imagine.
right now. Not right now at all.
So like with regards to like your whole stuff, like so you drop an album in 2018. What like made you decide to create that? Like,
Um, the gospel came about because some of the questions that I had with the Life Project, as far as faith and spirituality, just gave me a whole lot of questions. Um, I started looking into and reading and having conversations about where some of our ideologies and beliefs come from. And I started having real just conversations with myself. It's like the title song on there, The Gospel, there's a video for it where I get in a fight with um, white Jesus. One of my things like early on in childhood was the description of Jesus versus the depiction of Jesus. And when I would question that, I was always met with shit like, well, that the color doesn't matter, and it doesn't. I don't care what color. Like, it's about the story. But my retort to that was like, well, if it don't matter, then shit, why you lie? So so my so my question wasn't faith; it was just the institution and my feeling and feeling this way, right? So it was an album where I was able to be personal. I was able to talk about the plight um, of my people in America. I did a lot of that. I got a song called Hello America. Uh, but also hold the fire to our neighborhoods and say, yo, it's up to us to do some things and make some changes in this space. And I do that outside of my music from just from a philanthropic point of view or area. Um, uh, but the album, I work with some really dope producers, some really dope musicians, and I was able to make an album that was like dear to my heart. Song on there called 989. I get real personal, talking about me growing up. Last song on there, the name of it leaves me right now, but the final song was a testament, just talking about my life, talking about like losing my grandmother uh, in an accident, young age, being like it's just real personable, like real
right.
personal. If you want to like, so I I I fell into a space where I wanted to make music that my kids could listen to and learn about me later. And I started looking at like my battles didn't always represent that because sometimes I revisit old thoughts or old activities. I talk about hurting people. Uh, I talk about what I could, would, or will do or have done. Um, and I needed stuff where like my son could listen when he get my age and get a perspective and be like, damn, man, maybe I'm going through that. Uh, and I wanted like it's a song on there, man, re-up. It's like I say I kiss my daughter and I tell her that I love her every day. And I'm showing her I mean in every single word I say. And like with my daughter, like I tell my daughter I love her every time I see her, every time I speak to her. If we talk on the phone, before she went off to school, every single morning, every single day, repeatedly, repeatedly. Um, and then I show her by my action. And being able to put stuff like that in music is important to me. But also being vulnerable, like on songs like All Day, where I talk about being in the strip club, like knowing I shouldn't be in this bitch or whatever, because as a human, I go to the strip club and I would be in there, and for whatever reason, I would sometimes just have a spell of thinking about the social conditions of Black people in my state or in my city, and thinking about the women that are doing what I'm tipping them to do, right? And why they're doing it. And then saying, you tripping, fuck it, and throwing money and having fun. So it shows a lot of conflict. And when it come down, and it leads into this next project, which is called Jonah, that I'm finishing up now, that talks about a kid getting out of the belly of the beast. Um, just like if you familiar with the Bible, with the book of Jonah, um, whether you believe it happened verbatim or if you think the whale was a metaphor, I'm using the whale as a metaphor, being Jonah was swallowed by the whale and he had to get out of the belly of the beast or what have you. My neighborhood, my environment is the belly of the beast. And I revisit my life and my upbringing and my thoughts. And I produce a lot of the album. And it's my most personal work, it's my best work. And I believe that like when the album goes off, you're like, damn, I know this guy.
Yeah. I believe that. I really enjoyed the gospel. I listened to that and I thought it was really well put together and sounds great today. Because sometimes like the projects don't age well. I didn't listen to a lot of The Light. I tried, but like I just didn't have the time because I was like, I should probably listen to his battles. Like so I ended up going down that route.
Right.
Um but honestly, I think you're an extremely talented dude. I didn't realize you produced as well and all of that. So like it just adds to like the power of all of this time. And just to think that like this isn't even just like new. You've been doing this for decades. Like
Yeah.
since you were like
A little kid.
7
Yeah.
writing rhymes. Like that is wild as like a journey.
Yeah.
So like what comes like I guess how did like COVID shift things up? Like did that like create a problems for you, like real adjustments in your life?
Yeah. Um, I was supposed to go to Alaska for the first time in April of that year. I was supposed to go to Australia for the first time in May of that year. Like I had a really busy 2020 that got slowed down due to COVID. Um, battle rap actually thrived and new opportunities came through battle rap on some levels, and then on some it didn't. It was the first time that I didn't go anywhere all year. Like I'm going every month, if not every other week prior to COVID. So it gave me an opportunity to sit down. I became a better music producer because I hadn't produced in a long time. So I became a better music producer during that time. Uh, I got an opportunity to do some things at my house, some gardening or whatever, some maintenance on my lawn. I built a fire pit. I got some personal time with my daughter, with my son. I was able to slow down and really figure out how to make money in a drought or whatever.
Right.
I had some opportunities slip, but all in all, man, it's been a challenge, man, because like I'm used to being able to just go do things, and early on, man, I was so afraid. Um, I got a kid that has a weaker immune system. My son has a weaker immune system than some people would. So I was very, very cautious about doing anything. I was one of those people that I remember when the pandemic first happened, man, I was in the grocery store with the lawnmower man mask, with the lawnmower mask on. The I had on work gloves, like I got on long sleeves and pants, and like I'm in there looking like I work in a laboratory, man, just trying to get some peanut butter and jelly. And so, you know, it definitely didn't help anxiety. I don't do, I'm not too cool with a whole bunch of people around me anyway. So, COVID has made just talking to a stranger very, very difficult, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine that. Um, I, honestly, trying to reintegrate into real life has been weird. I don't know that I'm good at it. I just know that I'm trying. It's like different than the whole like online experience. Um, so like I guess outside of the project, what's gonna come next over the course of the year for you? Do you have anything else like lined up?
Um, I got Jonah, man. I just launched my website, questmcody.com. I'm putting together these 3-song projects called Two Piece and a Biscuit. There'll be free downloads. It'll be 2 songs and one other song. So 3 songs. But it's usually 2 songs that coincide, and then this other song kind of leads to the next. That'll be a little series I do before I release Jonah. Working with a comic book company, Short Fuse Media, on just developing comic books. And we got 2. There's one with me and Daylight. There's a lot of comics that they've already released. So I've been working with them.
You've
Uh,
already created comics?
I haven't created, but I'm a partner in the company. I work with the company rather on a silent level. But a guy by the name of Sean Mack, uh, Short Fuse Media. You can check them out. Uh, they got a website and they produce independent comics. We're working on a series called The Gospel. It's going to be innovative and interactive way to uh, read comics and hear like music and things of that nature. Um, I
Yeah,
have some
super
battles.
blessed.
I have some battles coming up. Um, I've been putting together some my brother King Yachty through the block development along with Stash House and BBG. Um, we've been like getting and revitalizing homes in our neighborhood, like abandoned homes. And my brother has been training the youth of the neighborhood um, on contracting, building. Um,
Wow,
like
that's like
we,
really.
yeah, so that we got a, like I said, we got a store in Detroit, the Stash House Culture Shop, and just trying to invest in some things, man. I do, like I said, we invest in properties. Um, I've been messing with crypto and stock for the past few years and learning that, educate myself on that, and just 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 trying to do cool shit, man. Like if there's some cool shit going on, somebody tell me about it. If there's something I could do, um, I hope that we could get back into the schools prior to um, prior to COVID. I was working with a group. I was working with Cornerstone Schools, doing partner morning, where we go into the classrooms and we build a rapport with a set of kids, and we do projects and work on things with them 4 or 5 times throughout the year. I've been doing that. I had a group of kids that just had gotten to high school before the pandemic, and I was looking forward to that, to seeing my group grow. Um, and that kind of slowed us down. I was working with Inside Out, which is a community outreach group. They do like poetry, workshop writing. Um, I'm looking forward to starting a training class for kids that want to get into music, like getting into engineering. Uh,
Right.
we did one last year. We sponsored a kid and we got him a M audio interface to like record his own music. So the goal is um, I want to raise $2,000 per kid. Uh, this will cover their basic training on how to operate and run Pro Tools. It'll give them a computer to record. It'll give them an interface and a microphone and some headphones. Software will pay for Pro Tools for a year. So my goal is to get 6 kids, um, 4 to 6 children um, under the age of 18, and get them in that class, man. Get them the supplies they need to have an opportunity because, like me having, like, I always bought studio equipment, and me having studio equipment, like sometimes, like one of my homies got shot in front of my crib because I was out of town rapping. And if I didn't have rap, I'd have been out there with him for sure. Um, a lot of bullshit that I could have got into, sometime I didn't get into, not because I wasn't trying to get into shit, but it was because I was at my house and I was learning how to record. So if I could if I could get that opportunity to somebody, um, so that's one of my goals for next year is to be able to by the end
Yeah,
of by the end of 2022, I want to say there was 5 kids with recording equipment and resources because of us.
yo, that is incredible. Like, I think what adds to like the charm of what you bring in is not just the fact that you like are a great rapper, a great artist. Like, and your art is like, your albums are like cohesive projects with like a lot of thought into them. They're not just like, yo, I made songs. Um, Technologically innovative. That's another thing that can add to what you've done. Like, you bring all that into the more, like you said, it is a hard word to say. Like the philanthropic, yeah, efforts of like just giving back to the community, which is just so powerful, right? Like, it's the idea of like, instead of just, it's like what everyone's supposed to in theory do, right? Like, you get a bunch
Yeah,
of shit and then you like complete the cycle by giving it back or giving
yeah,
back
you keep
into
what
the
you have.
neighborhood.
You keep what you have by giving it away. Like, I ain't
It's
talking about just like here goes some free shit, but like, no, my brother Yachty that I just spoke about, yo, he yo, I, I, I'm very like I reap the benefits of the great work that he's doing, and I included him in mine coming up, and he's including people in his coming up, so it does create that cycle, and we owe the people, we owe like the only way to make this place better is through the children. Like it ain't much I can inspire adults all day, but if I make this shit look cool to a kid and I give them something that can help them, uh, whether it's a hammer and a nail gun or a microphone and some studio equipment, like if I could contribute to better in my community or whatever, I think I should. Even when I move out of my community, like, or if I move out of my community, uh, absence is allowed as presence sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Or can be louder. So um, for me, it's just important, man, because I do so much and say so much that I don't want the stories and the things that I that I cover in my music or that I talk about in my music or that I say in my battles. I want you to be able to point to some tangible things, like, um, and I like to, like, and when I talk about them, it's not to, like, I don't need no pat on the back and no shit. It's just when we put out music or when we put out a video, we promote it and we tell people and we show. When we buy a new house, we take a picture of the house. You know, um, we gave 100,000 bottles of we raised money to get 100,000 bottles of water to Flint when the crisis hit. We got Timberland, bank producer, to come to Detroit before they were doing verses. We put him on stage to go through a list of his hits in front of a crowd, and it wasn't performing. It was just vibe out to it was verses. It was half of verses. It was just him on stage.
It's
Um,
Timbaland self versus.
yeah, and it's documented. And like we had conversations about battle rap and about doing shit like he's doing now. So all of those things are are important to be known. it's important to be shown, because the same way a janitor sat down with this second grader and started teaching him how to rhyme at the end of a sentence, that janitor might have saved me from the motherfucker that was gonna teach me how to break down a pound of weed and sell it. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? So he gave me something, man, and I've been able to literally put food on my family's table because a janitor took the time to show a kid that was crying how to do something new.
That's amazing, and it's amazing because it's not just like the part where like your story. It just shows like the flowers that you give to everyone along the way that contributed to it, and like how important that really is, and just the actions that you have. Like, because how many times in our lives in a day could we maybe be that janitor and not even that guy probably wasn't thinking anything of it when he did that, right? Like, it was just a moment, and it had such a huge impact.
Yeah, man, I think like it's important because it helps me understand and it helps me stay humble and it helps me not be jealous, man. It
Right.
helps me be happy for people because here's the thing. Tupac said once, he like, I might not be the motherfucker, but I might spark the idea in the motherfucker. And I take pride in that. I take pride in I could do something or say something that could spark an idea or spark a change from a moment. Because that was a moment. I don't remember the janitor's name. I don't know where to find him. I couldn't tell him in a lineup. I couldn't point him out in a lineup, bro. And it's not about that. It's about the positives that we make in the people, places, and things. And if I could add something to whatever I do, like if I come on your podcast, like, I want to be focused. I want to provide some dope content. I want to be honest. I want to be truthful. I want to operate in honor, and I hope that, like, when you are on late night with Jimmy Fallon, man, I might have said something during this conversation that you say and it's broadcasted to the world, man, and you flourish or whatever, because that's a part of that. I'm a part of that. So like when I look at battle rap and the culture, I look at battle rap now, dog. They just gave away $100,000. You feel me? I just talked about doing battles for $100, right? When I look at battle rap and I say, yo, man, this thing is moved from being 5 or 10 people in a room rapping to thousands upon thousands in a venue and millions online watching, to movies and TV shows, to like, so to for me, it's two things you could be. You could sit in the back and be bitter that maybe you're not the top guy getting all the money or acclaim, or you could be like, yo, man, I'm very proud of what I helped build.
Right.
And I see sprinkles of everybody that helped lay this foundation along the way in y'all. And the ones that did it before me, they see it in me. So how beautiful is that? How I wasn't around for the birth of rap. I didn't notice when rap became popular, but I could tell you that I was in those rooms that were as big as my living room rapping, doing what now is being seen in Irving Plaza, Fillmore, um, soon to be stadiums. You understand? So that's my positive deposit.
And that's honestly a really powerful way to look at it too. And I really like the fact that you said that that helps you not be jealous. That's not something a lot of people even bring up, the fact that you could be jealous like that. But the fact that you're able to be like, nah, I'm like content with knowing that my impact is powerful, and then just go on to just keep giving. That's incredible. Like that, like you're pretty much a legend, Mr. Quest Mcody, a legendary person. That
Man,
that's
I appreciate that. It's better when you say it than me.
I mean, but it's the facts of it. Like, look, I talk to a lot of people, and I'm not gonna say I haven't talked to people that I wouldn't put in the legendary category, but nah, man, like you're one of those people should probably talk about a lot more, because you're like it's like give it to you and you're gonna do something proper with it.
Yeah, definitely. If I could give it back better than it was, I did my job.
And that alone is legendary. And then you have your legacy, which is also fucking incredible. Like somebody else, like, say a word, you got Quest Mcody. How many other cool interviews this guy gonna get? And I'm like, oh, say a word, Quest Mcody's that cool. Say a
Yeah.
word. That's good.
Well, man, I'm fortunate and I appreciate just being on the show, bro. Like being able to kick it, talk, have these conversations. I think they're important.
And I appreciate like you coming to do it, because like in my case, like a lot of this was like an accidental stumbling upwards. I didn't really pay attention to battle rap until this whole project started, and Dutch put me on a call with Iron Solomon, and I'm like,
Oh
who?
man, yeah,
And so like it just kind of started this journey to a point where now we're here, and like I'm having this with you. But it's really helpful for me to hear stories like this, because on top of that, it's like I'm from Montreal. That's a whole other country, a whole other vibe. And so just to like better understand the struggles, the things people have gone through, it just adds to all of our perspectives. That's why the show's called Perspectives, because it's super important, I think, to hear the stories, to hear what you've gone through and how you've managed to just keep going and keep building, and the attitude that you have. It's incredible. And I really do appreciate you doing this. So thank you for coming through and making this a part of it. Do you have like any last things you want to say to the folk out there?
yeah. Follow me on everything. It's Quest Mcody. Want to see him Mcody? Act like you know me. Uh, QuestMcody.com. I got a free project. Free. Uh, It's free. Type your email in and send it right to you, man. It's totally free. Um, Check me out there. If you're in the UK and you're watching this, there is a movie called Dinner in America that's produced by Ben Stiller's Red Hour Films. Um, and I have a minor role in the movie. It's called Dinner in America. It's got a really dope cast. Let me pull up the cast real quick, and it's a really dope movie that's it's doing really good. It's on Arrow right now. It's written by Adam Lanner, and it's got Kyle Gallner, who's in Veronica Mars. Emily Skaggs does a really dope job in the movie. And then it's got Brittany Sheets and Leah Thompson. If you remember the mother from Back to the Future or whatever, Marty McFly's mother, if you watch that movie, she's in it. And yeah, that came out this year. So, shout out to Atlas Industries, shout out to my man Bill, uh, shout out to Adam for writing a dope script. And it's kind of like it's Super Bad meets Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, say word. That's dope.
Dinner in America. It's on the Arrow player that right now it was out in there, but now it's on. You could get it on Arrow. Uh, how to do that, I don't necessarily know. Dinner in
I'm
America.
certain there's ways to, with the name of this movie, find it on all the plenty of ways we've crafted to find content on the internet that we should
Yeah.
just allude to. It'll be, that's all we needed was the
Yep.
name.
Yep.
Go hit that VPN or whatever. I don't have a sponsor, but NordVPN, that's what they are,
But,
cool kids.
but make sure y'all go to questmcody.com. Questmcody.com. It's a little subscribe button. All you gotta do is just type whatever email you like to get little updates. I might send you something once a month, once a week, nothing too crazy. But check that out, man, and rock with your man.
Yo, it's definitely been popping through on the chat on my side. All of that's gonna be linked down below though, for so that people who see this in like the future version of it. Shout out to End of the Week too for hosting this, and y'all can make sure to follow them at slash eo. Fuck, you know what? Just eodub.com has all their stuff. eodub.com has everything. Make sure you follow and support them. And yo, thank y'all for watching this. Those of you that were watching on the live, thank you for those watching in the future. Y'all make it a show and make it a lot more fun, interactive, and such. So appreciate that. And again, appreciate having you come through, Mr. Quest Mcody. Live long and prosper, everyone. It was super great to have y'all here with us. And
Thank you
yeah.
so much. And shout out to everybody in the chat. I just sent a message just thanking everybody on the Twitch. So appreciate y'all. All right, bro.
Yes. All right, man. We are offline on my side, so yeah,
Dope,
appreciate
man.
that.
Dope, man. Appreciate it, bro. Here, let me well, you got me on Instagram. I'll send you when anytime we got something going on, man, I send it to you just so you know what we got going on, man. It was really good talking to you, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It was a good chat. Thanks for
All right,
coming through.
no problem. Peace.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye. We still online? I think we